3 jobs my mother had to do just to make sure me and my sister had food. First job was selling beer to make a little cash. Didn't make much, but it's so fast. She knew living out this money wouldn't last, so when 11 o'clock hit, she started telling her, hardest job was being a mother with 2 bad kids. We hated all the nasty things she did. She always reminded us this is the only way we could live, but me, I still had to have in my biz, so 4 pounds. So 4 pounds of crack that week. Had to help my mother get back on the feet. Jobs failed me, so I turned to the street.
As I sit and close my mouth and let my conscience speak, to learn more about what it teaches to seek things that have never been seen, and to hear things that have never been said but only thought about, to embrace feelings that have never been felt, but for the average man it's impossible. Impossible to contain, to comprehend, to understand, much less overstand. And as I sit and spot my neck and let my conscience speak and ask, why do hurt instead of defeat? Defeat the war between the mankind and the spiritual realm. And as I sit and hold a meditation, it makes me sick to see how we allow our generation to do as they please. Babies having babies, depression turning to obsessions, and love is no longer love, it's lust. But it's always good and bad, hand in hand. A good combination turns into a bad situation just because of choice. This thing that we use so freely has us hindered and blinded and tied down to things that we don't need. But really, now it's time to concentrate and then contemplate on the most conscientious thing to do for my body, mind, and soul. Because the time don't stop, and there's the ticks and the tops for getting old, and there's nobody there for our hands to hold. Backs up against the wall, are you so blessed, and are you ready to fold? Again, this thing called choice. Is it healthy or is it poison?
My name is Sydanie, here with the DivaMag.com. Keep Toronto Reading, in partnership with the Westside Arts Hub, is here hosting an event called Poetry in My City. We have one of the poets here, Lola, Bunz. How do you think poetry or rapping, your art forms that you specialize in, how do you think those could have a lasting influence on young people within your community?
Definitely, I think it definitely have an influence. Why? Because I feel a lot of issues and a lot of things I speak about, it's about things I see, things that people around me are been through, stuff like that. You know, not everybody's into the rap and hip hop, so you know, I use poetry in that other way, you know, that people can hear me both ways. And for people that are interested in the hip hop, so there's people that struggle, you know, I speak for the females as well, you know. There's not a lot of females out there that are actually, you know, speaking about, you know, sensible things, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's kind of like, I feel like it's kind of my duty to, you know, talk about these issues and show them that there's a female presence and, you know, females could go as hard or even harder than the males would. So, yeah.
All right, well, great talking to you. We're here with Lola Bunz, DivaMag.com. My name is Sydanie. Later, guys. Here with Harmony, one of the poets that was performing this evening. Hi, hello, how are you, Harmony?
Good, how are you?
I'm all right. So how did you discover that you were a poet?
I realized that I loved poetry about the age of 9 years old when I used to write in my journals and realized that every other word was rhyming. So I used to take it and put a little more expression in the way I used to say it, and from there it just flew. It was so fluently, it was just poetry. That was it.
That's great. So before you started your poetry and your performance, you did a little bit of singing. How is singing and poetry tied into your artistic ability?
Singing was just something that came natural. Growing up in church, singing on the choir, praise team, and I don't know, it's just something that I just enjoy doing. So I'd write my own music, I'd write my own poetry, and I just love to sing.
Now, you mentioned during your in between one of your performances that you have post-traumatic stress disorder. Is that correct? How exactly does poetry or different art forms help you through that, or does it help you through that?
So what I normally do if I was really, we'll say, gloomy or like going through something, instead of sitting there and moping about it, I'd sit there and I'd write about it. And sitting there and writing about it would realize what I'm going through, but then also how to overcome it, right? And one thing with music is that it really can set an atmosphere. So it's all depending on what you're singing and what you're singing about that can really change your mood.
A little bit about your position here.
Hi, as said, I'm Andrea, and I'm the Managing Director of the Westside Arts Hub, which is located in Yorkwoods Library. We're downstairs. We have a full art space, which is dance floor, acoustic tiling, instruments, many things to do, many different arts, computers. This space was dreamt up in the 2000. Jane-Finch spoke about needing space for arts and artists to do their work. A lot of artists were meeting in the community, meeting behind stores, meeting in the malls. So at first it started off with a virtual space online, and through some more consultation, we have now manifested into a physical space, again, which is located at Yorkwoods Library. We do rent space to community artists to come in and start to either share their talent or develop their talent. We also work in partnership with many different community organizations to offer arts-based programming to artists so that they can develop their artistry as well.
Is space only available to West End artists or West Side of the city artists?
We do focus on artists that are within the Northwest quadrant. So that would include Jane-Finch, Rexdale, definitely right up and along down at the Jane Strip. So we are really trying to focus on this North quadrant.